All right, guys. All right, we got to be really, really careful with this article because that I say this is real thin. Victorian officials refused to release vaccination status of people who died from the virus. So, Victorian health authorities have declared they will not report a key death detail in which New South Wales has released every day for months. So, the Victorian Health Department has refused to release the vaccinated status on the 25 fatalities that have died from the outbreak. The spike in new deaths was reported on Thursday, which was the highest number of daily fatalities in the state's current Delta outbreak. It's really, really weird because aren't we getting more people vaccinated than ever? Right? If they got like 80% vaccination rate, right? Makes you wonder how many of these people died if they were vaccinated. It's weird how they won't talk about this. It's weird, isn't it? When asked whether they were vaccinated, Deputy Chief Health Officer Bren Cowie said the data was available, but we're not going to report on that. Why do you think they might not report on that, guys? Just have a stab in the dark. What do you reckon why they mightn't report on that? Insisted, he said, 85% of Victorians who test positive to COVID in the past 7 days were not fully vaxxed. Okay, but how many were partly vaxxed? Oh, we're not talking about that either, are we? For hospitals, 69% of people who ended up in hospital were unvaccinated completely compared to a 98% being eligible, he said. So it's weird how they say completely. Unvaccinated completely. So they do have the stats, they do have the data, but they're just not talking about it. For intensive care, 80% were completely unvaccinated. No doses, so it's very clear the impact of the vaccination on serious illness and loss of life. But we're not going to tell you how many people are dying from the vax, have died with the vax. Come on, guys. Obviously, the reason why they don't want to say this is because at the end of the day, I'll have to circle back to you and get back to you on that one. So, obviously, we know why they're doing this, right? Obviously, the reason why they're not releasing this data is because at the end of the day, it doesn't look good for them. We know from facts, a couple of weeks ago, out of 7 people that died, and I think it was in Victoria or New South Wales, 6 of them had at least one shot of the vax. Only one person who died out of the 7 were totally unvaccinated. So, it's not known why the health department has taken such a hard line on the detail. It's not. Really? But we don't know why. We could probably guess. But Professor Cowie has previously cited the griefs of relatives when asked about the figures. Oh, right. Yes, because letting you know how many percentage of people have died while vaxxed from the from the outbreak, obviously is going to cause some grief with a certain family. Are they joking? Are they serious? Like, if you're talking, if they were to mention names or something, okay, maybe. If you were to sit there and say, look, obviously Joe Blow died, it was unvaxxed. Sure, obviously that would cause some grief with the family, right? But you just turning around, simply saying at the end of the day, we lost 7 people or 27 people or whatever it may be. Out of that 27 people, for figure's sake, 17 were vaxxed, 10 were unvaxxed. For example, right? Say that was the figures. That's not going to cause any grief. But that does do is that affects the agenda or the narrative that these vaccinations are supposedly going to save your life. Right? Because then people start asking, well, why are people still dying when they're supposedly got this amazing procedure that isn't going to, that's supposed to stop them from dying, but why are they still dying? Oh, right, it doesn't stop you from dying anymore now. Now you need a booster shot. Make sure you line up for your booster shot. What, you've got your third one? Okay, line up for your fourth one, everybody. Time to get the fourth one. Meanwhile, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and Moderna and all these other companies, all the CEOs are driving around in Lamborghinis. I wonder why Moderna is now in the top 10 for billionaires. They knocked Donald Trump off the list. And that has only happened since this outbreak. I wonder what it might be that they're making and that they're selling to the world that might put them on the Forbes list. Maybe it's pacifiers for baby. Maybe that's what they're selling. Maybe they're selling like baby teacups or something. What do you think? Yeah, do you think it's that, or do you think it might be the vaccination that everybody's buying up? Now, at the end of the day, here's another question, right? If Moderna has a record profit year, do you think they're going to keep making that record profit, or to fight like hell to keep making that record profit year? Or do you think the board of Moderna is going to be completely fine making billions of dollars one year and then making a few $1 million the next year? Why do you think they keep boosting or pushing this booster shot? Who makes the booster shots again? Oh, right, the same companies that are on the Forbes list. We'll get a whole bunch of people, we'll line them up in a great big circle, right? One place is where they jam you with the needle and give you a booster shot. And then you walk out the back door, you go around and you walk back through the front door again, because by the time you get around, there's another booster shot. We'll give you another one. You walk out the back door, you walk around this building, you walk back in the front door, another booster shot. It's a revolving door. It's a simple revolving line going around and around and around. Booster shot, booster shot, booster shot, booster shot. And they're just going to keep making people do it. They're just going to keep making people take these booster shots. Even though if you got COVID normally, the immunity is like so much times better. It's like 6 to 10 times better than the booster shots. I'm not saying don't get the vax. At the end of the day, if you're elderly, right, get it, sure. If you're immune compromised, get it, sure. But they've gone from, hey, you're immune compromised, you probably should get the vax, to everybody get the vax. I'm healthy. Why do I need to get the vax? But I don't need get the vax, or you're an evil person, and we won't let you buy groceries. And that's literally what it's become. And people like me who are not necessarily against the vax, I just want to hold off and make sure the people aren't going to stop dropping dead. Or whatever it may be. I want to see what the long-term effects are. God forbid. But at the end of the day, forcing people to take it like you are is just going to get people's backs up. People are just going to be like, stuff this. I was forced to do this. You imagine if businesses started going through and forcing abortions on their staff, their female staff members? Oof. Or forcing women to get like a safe for birth control. Or whatever it may be. Yeah. Anyway. But among the new death reports on Victoria on Thursday were a man in his 40s, a woman in their 50s, and 2 in their 60s, 4 men and 2 women in their 70s. So it's elderly. 6 men and 4 women in their 80s and 4 women in their 90s. Elderly. Professor Cow said that all bar one had died in the past 3 days. It's a very big number, he said on Thursday. A reflective positive that we see the case numbers increase the community. That's followed by 10 to 14 degrees later. People have ended up in hospital. Some will lose their lives. It's going to be a really difficult time for families and friends of those 25 Victorians. And we'll pass the deepest condolences, blah, blah, blah. Takes the number of fatalities in the outbreak to 270. And the death toll start of the pandemic is 1,090. Victoria records 1923 new COVID cases on Thursday, and at least 77% were population aged 18 and older. But don't worry, we're going to force the kids to get it now. This is why my country has gone off the rails. This is why Australia is a wake-up call to the rest of the world. This is Australia. Someone please come and get me with one of those Black Hawks that Biden left over in Iraq. I want to get out of here. Let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Obviously, guys, at the end of the day, if the video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.